Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk Tuesday, our first Talk Tuesday of the 24-25 school year. We are so excited that you could join us today and be part of this into the next school year. We have some exciting presenters. So I'm going to get going right away because we want to give them as much time as possible. So today's agenda, I am Christine Killen, consultant at the State Education Resource Center. I am here with my colleague, Anne-Marie Cardisco. Holly Ryan couldn't join us today, but filling in for her is Lauren Johns, and we are very happy to be with you. We are here with our CSDE colleagues and partners, Kari Sullivan-Custer from CSDE and Jay Brown. Today, we have a focus on attendance and engagement, multilingual and English language learners. We have working with those families that it's going to be a great presentation. We have Liz Rade from EdAdvance. She's the Director of Research and Innovation. Her colleague that was part of this is Dahlia Asim, who is English Learner Assessment Coordinator at EdAdvance. We have Torrington Public Schools joining us today. Joanne Creedon, Director of EL and Bilingual Services. Jenny Garcia, District Parent Educator, Bilingual Community Family Liaison. And we have Sue Ferguson, the Assistant Superintendent. I will wrap up with just some quick attendance and engagement housekeeping things. But we are going to get going because we do not want to waste any more time. As always, we like to start with a Superintendent's Digest for Talk Tuesday of upcoming things, or just items to share, resources to share with you. I'm not going to go through every one of them, but I put a lot in the slides from July, August, and now into September. As you're getting going with your school year, just some things to kind of pay attention to. One thing is to keep in mind, if you have not revised any of your district contacts with CSDE, they kind of have an urgency to do that because we want to make sure that if there's any changes in your district that it is on the up-to-date list. So that is in here. Some new stuff on EdSite dashboard to check out. We have also announcing the LEAP relational home visit training within this as well. And just going through here, this is important for teen suicide prevention resource. There is some resources for there if you'd like to click on that. Some learning opportunities for fall 2024 and using free and reduced price meal eligibility for state education programs. One thing I thought was an interesting press release was the August 27th. The Connecticut students show a second year of improved attendance, which is really great. And it really speaks to all the work we're doing. And also they released mathematics and science scores as well within that. There is something new you've seen come out that was put out by the State Board of Education, that personal technology use in Connecticut schools. So they have a position statement and some policy guidance around that. It's been really a hot topic talk in most districts and on most Board of Eds. So really that's some great guidance that you could look at and kind of see what they're talking about. I love September 3rd because it is also announcing our Talk Tuesday series of the 24-25 school year. Please if anyone is interested in joining this great conversation, please share the registration link with them. You could share our marketing, our flyer, let them register. Please don't share the link with them that we give you because we want everyone registered so we can count for attendance at the Talk Tuesday series. So please pass that along. We'd love that. There is an increasing educator diversity plan coming out. It's a template and a webinar, so let's keep our eyes out for that. Performance Matters Forum 2024 is coming up in October. So if you are looking to be a part of Performance Matters, there is a link there. It is a wonderful opportunity to connect with districts and what they're doing, resources. So I would definitely check that one out. And just some kickoff stuff for the school year, some back to school meeting with the superintendents is posted with along with the slide deck. It was really a great opportunity where superintendents came together with CSDE to really see the commissioner's goals and what we're looking, what this next school year might bring. So great to check that out as well. And there is also the testing window that was put out for the K-3 universal screening reading benchmark assessments. One nice thing about that, if you click to see Superintendent's Digest, you'll see they even give a nice timeline out there so you could see what that entails. And just a reminder that the virtual LEAP 101 trainings are here. We have the link in the Superintendent's Digest, but we also have this as well, this one-page flyer with the registration QR codes and links. So if you are interested in attending the LEAP 101 trainings, I would definitely check that out. And moving forward, I'm going to turn this over to Kari Sullivan Custer.
Okay. Just a couple words about the LEAP 101 training, that those trainings are open to all districts. It's a 2-hour virtual training. It's free, and it's for home visitors to learn great practices in doing relational home visits that develop positive relationships with families and connect families back to school. And we just had our second evaluation of LEAP that shows it continues to have an impact on student attendance. And so we encourage all districts to look into the LEAP 101 training for anyone doing home visits. We've trained people from over 100 districts in Connecticut and people in 30 states across the country. So we're pretty excited about that. The other thing that I wanted to bring up as sort of an update is on September 25th, Attendance Works is having a really special webinar for superintendents, leadership for sustainability, superintendents making a difference, and they'll be featuring several superintendents from across the country. We shared this with the superintendents yesterday afternoon, but wanted to make sure everyone here knew about it. It looks like it's going to be a really good webinar. Next slide, please. So this is our new what do they call that? The Connecticut State Department of Education every year updates sort of its marketing messaging materials for our PowerPoints and others. And so this year is a universe of opportunities. This was released last week at the Back to School with the Commissioner and the Superintendent. And I just wanted to share this with you. I think it opens the door for all students, but as the Commissioner shared, it's a universe of opportunities for all of us, and especially for our students. You'll see this this slide more and more. Next slide, please. So anyone who knows me, I am a data geek. So I tend to cover the data around attendance. And as we get into the new year, I want to thank every single one of you for your dedication and hard work on behalf of attendance. No matter what your role is in the district, you are having an impact. As this slide shows, we are seeing a consistent reduction in chronic absence across our full population and our students with high needs. Students with high needs are those students who are special education, free and reduced lunch, and English learners and multilingual. And so we're seeing a reduction in chronic absence across the board. Not going to spend too much time on this. We had 11,674 more students have good attendance last year, but over the last 2 years, 30,000 kids are coming to school regularly and are no longer chronically absent. So I wanted to show this to you. The other thing I wanted to say is 80% of our districts saw a reduction in chronic absence last year. And so I just congratulate you and thank you for coming to Talk Tuesdays and for sharing all of your best practices and things that are working, even if it's something little. We all can learn from each other. And so we provide Talk Tuesday as that forum to share and learn together. And the next slide, please. All right, I'm going to give you a second to look at this. This is average daily attendance. Each of the boxes is it's 3 years. So the first box is 21-22, second box is 22-23, and the third box is 23-24, and it shows average daily attendance by month. And I'll just give you a minute to look at that and think about what this is telling us in the chat, if you could just comment on what this is telling us and what you think we could do to improve this trend. I'll give you a minute to put your thoughts in the chat. I was personally shocked to see this in some respects. Anyone have any thoughts? Well, we are improving. You can see a big difference. We're stabilizing our monthly attendance. It's stabilizing. This is also available. You have access to this data for your district on the new attendance dashboard. Yes, the holiday vacations, the holiday travels, yeah, supporting attendance of high needs students generally. We see this drop in December last year, and we see it coming down. We start off strong in September and October, November, a lot of half days, a lot of long weekends, a couple of long weekends. December. Now, this is average daily attendance, so it's not based on the number of days like chronic absences, but we also see December, and then we start to go up in January. And then look at this interesting with the students who are non-high needs, we have a drop in attendance in February. I see some discussions about vacations. And so we want to get in front of that and communicate with families before vacations are planned or right after so that they don't plan them in the following year. And then we start to see attendance go back up again. And it does not get back to where it was in the beginning of the year. But I want everyone to think about the calendar of how they're approaching chronic absence and attendance every month of the year. And what can we do? I see holidays and flu season. And so one of the things we can do about that is making sure that kids are getting their vaccinations, making sure they're washing their hands, really promoting those best preventative practices in October next, and starting to prepare kids so that they don't get sick. But also we have our campaign, School is Better with You. And in that campaign toolkit is a flyer that says, how sick is too sick? So I think we're still doing some messaging to families about when to keep kids home and when to send them to school, and how important it is to send them back to school as soon as possible. Because we know the more days kids miss, more difficult it is to come back to school. Because you've missed so much and they have to catch up, and that can add to not wanting to come to school. Okay, Teresa, thank you. And the next slide, please. I just thought that was a really interesting way to look at the data. And I'm going to introduce this data here. This is just an example of looking at chronic absence over the last 5 years for ELLs. We call them English language learners in our data set, but we refer to them as multilingual families over the last 5 years. So our students who are in multilingual families for the state has been coming down pretty much similar to our non-ELs. And so you see that drop here, but I have Torrington over here on the right. And when I was looking at this data, I said, we need to get Torrington on Talk Tuesday because they flipped the data. And you can see here that their ELs at 9.7 is almost half of what their non-ELs are. And we need to know like what is working, because that's one of our higher populations of students with chronic absence. And I thought maybe we could learn more from them and what they're doing. And so I'm really excited to turn this over to Christine, who's going to introduce us to our partners at EdAdvance and Torrington Public Schools.
All right. Thank you so much, Kari. And as again, we're just so excited to have with us today Liz Rade from EdAdvance. She's the Director of Research and Innovation. And she did have some assistance from her colleague, Dalia Asim, who is the English Learner Assessment Coordinator. And I'm going to turn it over to them. And then joining along with them is going to be Torrington Public Schools with Joanne Creedon, Director of EL and Bilingual Services, Jenny Garcia, District Parent Educator and Bilingual Community Family Liaison, and Sue Ferguson as well, Assistant Superintendent. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to our featured speakers.
Great. Good morning, everybody. I am going to start sharing my screen so that we can all see what I'm talking about. Here we go. All right. Can everybody see my screen? Give a thumbs up.
Yep,
somewhere?
we can.
All right, perfect. Okay, so today we're going to talk about welcoming our immigrant and refugee families. Truly, all of the credit goes to Dahlia, who is an expert at all of this. I am just presenting her information. I have had the pleasure of shadowing her at a lot of different presentations on immigrant and refugee families. So I'm excited to present this information to you. And then really, I'm going to try to go pretty quickly because Torrington is the star of the show today. So if you could put into the chat a few words on how you would describe immigrant students and their families. What are some of the strengths these immigrant and refugee families have? I give everybody a minute to think about those strengths. Oh, we're seeing great words here. So capable, resilient, determination, hope. They want their students to learn and get the best possible education, gratitude, lots of commitment to learning, determined, resourceful, motivated for their children to do well, grateful, very hardworking. They value education. They're united, they're strong, they're courageous, they're humble. They want the best for their children. Exactly. Resilience, adaptable, loving, hardworking, traditional, motivated, appreciative. So amazing, would do anything for their kids. Absolutely. So when we think of these immigrant and refugee families who have made such a sacrifice to bring their families to the United States, they come with so many strengths. And we need to start our work with these families with that strength-based mindset, knowing that these families are bringing so much when they come to our schools and not think about their deficits. Of course, they may not speak English well, but think about all of those other strengths that they are bringing. So thank you for sharing those in the chat. So I'm going to start with just a few definitions just to get us all on the same page. Learners, so as Kari said, we call our learners that do not speak English yet multilingual learners, which means that they can fall into a couple of different categories. They can be newcomers, which means they are very recently arrived to the United States. They are considered immigrants if they have spent less than 3 years in the United States. Refugees are a little bit different because of the political classification. They may look the same, they may act the same, they may have some of the same struggles and strengths, but it means that they have a different political classification as a refugee versus an immigrant. Important information, it can take 5 to 7 years to become proficient in English. If you know about learning a language, it gets harder as you get older. So a lot of our youngest students are able to pick up English a lot faster than our older students. And a student is considered an ELL, an English language learner student, until they pass that last links assessment. So these are just a couple of definitions. Oh, and SLIFE is a word that or an abbreviation that we use sometimes, which means that these are students with limited or interrupted formal education. So there may be immigrants or refugees who fall into that category, and there may be immigrants and refugees who have had consistent education in their home language or from their home. So, it's just another piece of the puzzle when we think about these students, that some of them have limited or interrupted formal education in the process of moving to the United States. And it's important to know that the number of students who are considered immigrant or who are multilingual learners has grown by 30% over the last few years. And many of our districts have experienced an influx of these learners and may have grappled with being able to provide the unique supports that they require. And we know that they're coming from lots of different places. They're coming from all over the world. Many districts are seeing certain populations increase depending on where they are. But yeah, it's impacting almost every district. So we want to think about welcoming students and families that may feel unwelcome in their school or community. They may be unaware of their children's rights to attend school or even enter the building. Some of our families tend to avoid educational settings and keep their children home, maybe out of fear. They keep their children home due to local immigration enforcement or other reasons. So this is some of that fear. Perhaps they have arrived from countries where school records are accessed by governments, and they may have low literacy in both their native language and in English that prevents them from participating in their child's education. These are all explicit barriers to consistent attendance. And so as you are doing this work in your district, we really need to think about how to solve these problems. So awareness is the first step. But these are things that we can think about problem solving in our districts. And we're going to hear from Torrington on how they worked towards solving some of these problems. But creating a climate that is welcoming and inclusive for newcomers, immigrants, and refugee families is one of the first steps. So as I said, English learners are the fastest growing K-12 population nationwide. English language learners, multilingual learners in the 2019 to 2022 data grew approximately 14%. The largest group are students in 6th through 10th grade. Immigrants, defined as being in a US school for fewer than 3 years, grew by 30%. And over 20% of English learners or multilingual learners in Connecticut also have an IEP. So 1 out of 5 students that is an English language learner also has an IEP, which means that there's a disability there. So it's important to remember that many multilingual students and their families come with really difficult experiences and are continuing to experience challenges in their day-to-day life. Many refugee families are displaced from their home countries. They live in intermediary countries for many years and then are usually relocated again due to the lack of economic opportunities or exclusion from schools and institutions due to laws. So they often arrive not directly from their home countries, but from an intermediary country with a fear of interacting with educational institutions. Many students and their families live in fear of schools finding out about their legal status, or they're unsure of what they're able to do for their students because of their legal status. Many experience challenges in stable housing, and many of our older students remember home. They miss their homes, their friends, their families, and they're experiencing the challenges of being a teenager in addition to learning how to speak, read, write, and communicate in a language and a culture that is completely foreign to them. So high needs students, which are defined as multilingual learners, special ed, and free and reduced lunch, make up the highest percentage of chronically absent students. So remember that when we are talking about who these students are. All those strengths, but we have to also remember that there are we remember that there are challenges, and we want to consider how to work with both of those things. So one way to do that is by creating authentic partnerships. And there are some really easy ways to just make our schools feel welcoming. By welcoming parents and students from immigrant families, by being curious and open to their languages and cultures and experiences. Asking a parent how to say hello in their language, or ask them about the last time they visited home or what school was like in their home country. Many times educators fear approaching families because of language barriers, but they're missing a really authentic opportunity to get to know their families. One thing to really consider, and Torrington is going to talk about, is that the office staff are often the first point of contact. And so these educators and all educators should be trained in the ability to communicate with families and the various district tools that are available. My own children go to a school that is now using Parent Square, and at back to school night this week, the biology teacher was just saying how awesome it is that she can send a message, a parent can read it in their native language, they can reply in their native language, and it's translated automatically for her, which has taken out a huge barrier in our district where there are a lot and a rapidly increasing number of Spanish and Portuguese speaking students. So by ensuring a sense of belonging for all our families and students, we can start building like authentic relationships that can help to overcome the challenges of consistent attendance for these learners. So using, expressing that they're welcome, putting posters and welcome signs in multiple languages in our home, how much it means for families to walk into the office and see just the instructions on how to use that doorbell outside of your school to get into the building in a few different languages so they can get in. I mean, I show up at schools all the time and I'm like, do I ring this? Do I press this? Which door is open? So even just being able to get into the building can be a barrier. So, having those things in multiple languages. There is a parent bill of rights that is linked here that I encourage you to read. And again, using multiple forms of outreach, whether it's phone calls, emails, apps, that can be done in many different languages. Knowing that our families are coming from lots of different places, there are cultural differences in how they see school and the role of school in their culture. In the United States, the school is the center of our community, and our expectations are that parents will support their children by being active in school activities, that parents initiate communication with teachers and are able to support their children in transportation to and from school activities. In many other cultures, the role of the teacher and the role of the school is really respected, and they feel that the school knows what they are doing. They leave that up to the schools, and they expect parents to be kind of the life support outside of schools and leave the school related activities to the experts who are the teachers. And so this is a difference in the expectations of parents and parental involvement. And it can send the wrong message if we make this assumption that a parent is uninterested in school because they don't attend these events, when really what their understanding of school is that the teachers are the experts, and I'm sending my child to school to the hands of experts. I don't need to be there and be around all the time. So this slide shows some examples of differences in participation in schools. So this was an interesting study because Latino students were asked what was important in their own perceptions of parent participation. And so some of the things that they wanted from their families were telling stories of examples of failure and success, asking questions about their day, giving general encouragement, establishing trust, encouraging siblings to look out for each other, providing transportation to extracurricular events, and they want their parents to provide discipline and to monitor their attendance. Students placed significant importance on emotional support and motivation that their parents provided and felt that it was more important than having their parents participate by volunteering at the school or being part of the PTA. And they actually viewed parental presence at school as an intrusion on their space. And so when you think about what parents are expecting from the school and knowing that they may be coming from a place where parental involvement was not encouraged or was not expected, and they come to the United States, and our assumption is that if they're not coming to back to school night or parent teacher conferences, that they are uninvolved or uninterested. It may be actually the exact opposite, that they believe in the teachers and believe that the work of education should be left to the experts. So, we should be thinking about ways that we can bridge the gap between these differences in our perception of what constitutes parent involvement and what parents believe their involvement should look like. And we should always be considering how we can be more welcoming of families from multi-ethnic and linguistic backgrounds. So some ways to get started in this work are by greeting parents warmly at the front office in their language. Just learning how to say hello in a few different languages. It doesn't mean you even have to memorize it. A little sheet in the front with words spelled phonetically that, you can say hello to a family in their native language goes so far. Providing language support in a format they prefer. So if it's texting or messages through apps or email or actual phone calls with a translator. Learning how to pronounce their names accurately is so important. As teachers learn a few phrases in students' home languages, it really makes kids feel included and excited about being at school, and making sure that these families have transportation, meals, and family care for events. And so on the right, you can see some examples, some concrete examples of what that may look like, whether it's hanging flags and artwork from students' home countries, or making sure that there are culturally responsive books in the library. These are all ways to help students. And I think at this point, I am going to turn it over to our friends in Torrington, who are going to talk about how they developed authentic two-way communication with families and the amazing work that they have been doing. So take it away, Torrington. Joanne, you're muted.
Yeah, Liz, can you hear me?
Yep, you're all good.
Okay, can you just show our slides and I'll just tell you that'll be smoother, I think.
Sure.
Thanks.
All right. Then if you stop sharing, I'll go back to sharing. Let's see, why is my screen sharing? 1 second.
So while Liz is finding
Yep,
our,
sorry.
our
give me 1
slides.
second.
No, thank you. Thank you for doing it. Just wanted to say hi, greetings to everybody. I'm really happy to be here to share a little bit of what Torrington's been doing. I came to the district 24 years ago as an ESL teacher. I spent 13 years as a building administrator, and 3 years ago, this position, Director of EL Services, was created, which enables me to be part of this work on such a large level and to be able to share with you today. And I'm delighted that Jenny Garcia is with us, our family liaison, parent educator, and Sue Ferguson in the wings, cheerleader and assistant superintendent. First slide, the first couple of slides, just to give you an idea of the district. So we have been holding at about 4,000 students. There's been a dip in the past 10 years. And when I looked at state of Connecticut, that's kind of typical across the state. Next slide, please. When we look at our Hispanic population, you can see that this has doubled in the past 10 years. So has our Asian population, but it was very small and it's still only 6%. But the Hispanic population has more than doubled. Next slide, please. And what languages are represented in our students and families? We have 40 different languages reported as the home language. Spanish is by far the greatest with about 83%, followed by Vietnamese, Albanian, Bengali, Portuguese, and then 35 others. Next slide, please. Our English learner, ML, multilingual learner group, has doubled in the past 10 years. As of today, we are at, I think, 650, which is 17% of our student population. Next slide, please. So here's the question. What have we done to welcome and connect with families? How do we better engage our ML students? We really have a multifaceted approach, And we are very much, here's the spoiler, we are a work in progress. We do not have all the answers, but we are trying many, many different things to help our students and our families. So we have bilingual family liaisons that work throughout the community and in our schools. We have bilingual translators who service all 6 of our schools. This is important for 2 reasons. One, there is that bilingual person available when a family calls or a family comes to the door. But equally as important, prior to this, we had our bilingual paras or bilingual teachers being continuously interrupted from their instructional service by Miss So-and-so, can you please come to the office? Miss So-and-so, can you please take this phone call? And it was super disruptive of the education of our multilingual learners. We've been able to, thankfully, thanks to our district and our board, we've expanded our EL staff with additional teachers, para-educators, tutors. We use tutors, especially at the secondary level, and the position of director. My position was added 3 years ago. We use Parent Square for school home communication, as Liz mentioned, which is just a great tool. We utilize a translation service for our non-Spanish speaking families. That's our on-demand phone service, and we can schedule interpreters for parent-teacher conferences, PPTs, 504s, some kind of important school meeting. And we have expanded bilingual and multicultural resources in our library media centers. We want kids to be able to see themselves in the resources, to read about people like them, right? And so when I first took this position, I went around to each of the 6 school libraries and I took a picture of our bilingual and multicultural resources. Well, it's probably not surprising to you that there were very few volumes on the shelves. So, you know, pictures are worth 100 words, 1,000 words, whatever. So I put together that slideshow, and we were able, through the efforts of our wonderful grant writer, to get a grant to increase those resources. Next slide, please. Jenny, you want to talk about this?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny Garcia. So I'm the family liaison parent educator for Torrington Public Schools. 1 second, sorry. All right. So we are proud to share our success with the LEAP program that which has proven to be highly effective and is nationally recognized for the impact, especially in Torrington. For those that don't know, the program is a home visitation program to make connection with families that their students that are chronically absent, so we can make trustworthy relationship and build a partnership in their education. As you can see in the graph, the impact that LEAP has done is tremendously through all this year. You can see 2019 to 2024, it has changed. Our number last year was 16.4 for district. For the MLL, English learners are from 2019 to 2020, it was 11.6. Now 2023, 2024 is 9.7. So it has impacted the home visitation and the connection that we have in the community with the families. Why is that in Torrington has changed so much with the English learners? We have plenty of Spanish-speaking home visitors that are dedicated to the family. Not only we send emails or text message, we personally call them and say and tell them the importance of being in school. And since I was one point in my life, I was a newcomer, I was an immigrant, so I do understand that we have empathy for them so we can understand better their situation and educate them that how in my country with the things is different than how in United States is done. So we embrace them and help them to understand and educate them. First educate them because they don't know what they don't know. So we don't judge, we just educate and listen to them. Be active listener because that is the key to understand why they do and how they do things. Next slide, please. So for us to communicate better, we are dedicated to fostering a strong connection with families through several key initiatives. We actively engage with community partners to build relations that support and welcome families into our education environments. We have connection with preschools and daycare with our collaboration with school readiness to ensure a smooth transition from young learners and their families from preschool and daycare into our school system. So we do plans so we can do better and the family understand better how the school system work. We get to know you session. We host a session at Kids Play Museum for incoming kindergarteners, students, and their families, helping them become familiar with some of the school staff, like the principal, some of the kindergarten teachers, parent educators, so in a fun, engaging way, so they can feel more familiar and see that they're welcome to the school. In the bilingual parents focus group, as part of our community-wide effort to share, to shape our portrait of graduate, we conducted focus group with bilingual parents to ensure their diversity perspective and include them in our planning so they can feel inclusive and they don't feel like, oh, they did this with our perspective or idea. So we try to encourage them to participate in everything that we do at the school. And for the new Welcome Center, which I love, is my baby, like everybody says. Our Welcome Center serves as a center hub for new families, especially for those newcomers to the town. We provide resources, support to make their transition into our community as smoothly as possible, not only with registration, but guiding them to a different sources in the community. So this effort reflects our commitment to creating a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere for all the families. Next, please. So FAFSA night, we have a family liaison, Claudia Ocasio, that she's very dedicated for FAFSA night. She knows that we invited many families to this event through Parent Square, emails, but that's not enough for her. She makes personally phone calls to each family that are senior English learner to make sure they have this information for their success for the college. So she make them calls. Every time there's a FAFSA night, she makes sure she calls them personally. So that proves the dedication that we have to support the English learners student here at Torrington. She's there to translate or anything that they need. She always, in every event that they do at Torrington High School, she makes sure she's there. So she's very dedicated for that. The recognition.
So Jenny described, Jenny described some of our efforts, pre-K, K, all the way through grade 12, because we know that we need to have this outreach continually. And a comment that a parent said at FAFSA night a couple of years ago was that, maybe it was last year, was that, oh, I want my son to go to NYU. My son is going to NYU. Well, that was just sort of an alarm for us that we need to really be working with our families throughout middle school and especially grade 9 to increase the understanding of the many opportunities that exist for our students, but all of the steps along the way that are required to get somebody there. So that is our focus this coming year. But this slide addresses the fact that as Liz said, every secretary is really the first person who comes in contact with our families, whether they're English learners or not. And so we felt it was really important to increase the level of understanding, awareness, sensitivity of our clerical staff. So Dahlia did an amazing job with us in June and was able to present insights into the lives of our students and their families, a dive into the understanding of deep culture versus surface culture, and the importance of using a strengths-based model, one that acknowledges that all families want their students, their children, to succeed. Next slide, please. And so what are we continuing to do? Ongoing professional learning for all educators, district-wide, on understanding our multilingual learners, their strengths and needs. We do this in partnership. Last year, our focus was on working with our paras, especially, and also our secondary teachers. Because again, referring to what Liz said, our older students have the biggest challenge. They are coming, it's harder for them to learn the language, and they are trying to, especially at the high school, earn credits while simultaneously becoming English proficient. Last summer, we were able to offer a professional learning to social workers and school counselors on creating a school plan to support the mental health and success of our newcomers. Next slide, please. And this Welcome Center. So this is a work in progress. We're excited that we finally have it in some version of it. It's a start. The benefits, of course, one-stop shopping for families instead of going to multiple schools if they have multiple children at multiple levels of schooling. But also, it's a place where they can be welcome. They can feel like we want them. You belong here in Torrington. The challenges to have a central location. We did have a soft rollout to start with our existing staff. We got some pushback from a bargaining group. So now a position was created with a secretary, and we're just in the process of interviewing. Actually, we're just about at that stage. So this is definitely a work in progress, but we're so excited to see it finally come to fruition. Next slide, please. And ongoing efforts, of course, to build the capacity for all. With partnerships, focusing on our focus this current year will be on community conversations, focus groups for our parents at all levels, trying to answer the question, how can we create greater opportunities for two-way communication? Too often schools, and I feel like we have been guilty of this as well, it's one way and info dump. Here's information you need to know. Well, as Jenny said, we need to listen to our families. And so that's going to be the focus of our work this year. I think that's the end of our slides.
Yes, it is. I guess we can open it up for questions in the chat, or you can unmute and ask any questions. Or if Kari or Christine has anything they'd like to add, go for it.
Thank you so much. That was really enlightening and very helpful. And you can hear the passion in your voices as you talk about this work. And that these very lucky families in Torrington. I was wondering if anyone had any questions or any work that they'd like to share with the group that they're doing with to help multilingual families feel that sense of belonging in school.
So we have a question in the chat that maybe Joanne can answer, or someone at Torrington. What staff are typically identified as those to make home visits?
Sure, I could jump in. You know, LEAP was kind of just this gift that fell from the sky a couple of years ago in Torrington, right? In the spring, a couple of years ago, Kari, right? We were tapped to receive LEAP funding, and we had already been kind of dipping our toes into a home visiting type of model. And as Joanne and Jenny have both said, we were a work in progress. We still are. It has to really be organic, I would say, and I think my colleagues here would agree. It's kind of if you have the heart for it, we'll take you, right? If you're willing to roll up your sleeves and you say, I believe in this, I really feel that this is important. It does not matter your title, your role, your assignment in the district. Come on, the more the merrier, join the team. And at the risk of really sounding cliche, I think in Torrington, because Torrington is a kind of a small, big town, if that makes sense, relationships are at the heart of all the work that we do. And I know that that kind of mantra has taken on a life of its own, but I mean that very sincerely. It is the people and their belief in this work that has made it a success. That's my 2 cents. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes, people with the heart, with the passion, with the love.
Great.
I would
And we
agree
have
with
another
that.
question.
Mhm.
We have several new attendance coordinators in our district. What advice would you give them to get started?
Well, so I guess I have more question for your question. You know, we kind of started a few years ago with attendance teams at our various schools and found through trial and error that we needed to kind of have a centralized approach, which is how the Welcome Center has come to be. So our Welcome Center is almost a centralized registration hub also. So I guess the way I would respond to that is to make sure if you have several people working on the same thing, to make sure that they're talking to each other, right?
Right.
Because what we were finding, and we still found, which is why we're trying to centralize things, is that families are having a different experience depending on the school that they go. We have 6 schools in Torrington, very different personalities, very different school culture. And it was almost a barrier kind of for families, which is why we found the need to really pull everything into one spot. So.
I do have to add, I think that creating welcoming schools is a real challenge in this time of security. Safety and security is, of course, a key factor in our door system, in our lock system, in our entryways. So it has to be a concerted effort to make it once somebody actually comes to the door or actually picks up that phone, that it can be as friendly a meeting as possible.
Great, thank you. Don't see any other questions. See lots of thank yous.
Okay.
Start again.
We would be happy to be a resource to anyone who's trying to get going, on this work. We're easy to find. Email us, pick up the phone, give us a call. We're happy to partner with anybody who is embarking on this work. It's so important.
And we're happy to learn from other districts that are doing something else too. Please share.
And Dahlia is always happy to do training with schools on their multilingual learner populations, or contact your local RESC. So we're in the Northwest corner, but all of your RESCs have some expertise in this area. So please feel free to contact your RESCs too.
This was fantastic. Thank you so much. So many helpful ideas and strategies and thoughts around reaching these families that really could use our support. Much. I'm just going to wrap it up with a few just reminders for Talk Tuesday moving forward. So I'm just swapping my screen out. Okay, so we have a Talk Tuesday survey, and even if you didn't participate in Talk Tuesday last year, we're really looking for feedback and ideas and suggestions, and I'm going to put the link in the chat so that you have that. Please fill it out. It only takes a few minutes to do so, but it gives us such valuable feedback, and we really use it moving forward with what you need for Talk Tuesday as we move into the 24-25 school year. Mentioning that, here is our Talk Tuesdays for the 24-25 school year. So even if I know you have registered, but if they're not in your calendar, just put them in your calendar or send them along. If you have a colleague or somebody in your school district agency that would like to register for Talk Tuesday, the link is in here. But again, we can even send the flyer out so that you have that on hand. Please register. Don't share the link because we take attendance on this. But also we send out the PowerPoints and all the resources. So you want to make sure that you have everything as well and that your colleagues do too. And our contact information. So here's our emails, phones, let us know. We are always looking for districts to also present for Talk Tuesday. If you're a district that is interested in just sharing what you're doing, again, it doesn't have to be something that you find to perfection, which we don't like to use that word too much, but something that you're doing, something that's showing some promising results. Please reach out to us. We would love to put you on for Talk Tuesday. Other than that, we thank you for joining us today at our first Talk Tuesday of the school year. We wish you a lot of great success, safety in the new school year. Please email us anytime if you need us, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.